everybody, this is Matt from Cincy Jungle. As we continue going position by position, previewing the 2020 Bengals, we have finally come to the offensive line. This is a group that has been widely criticized despite their improvements towards the end of last season. With all of the acquisitions that the Bengals made this offseason, all the money they've spent, many wonder why they didn't invest more at this position. Now, I'm not defending it, but to be clear, the Bengals O-line did make one huge addition this offseason. They added the top offensive tackle in the draft.
What?
The 2019 draft.
Oh.
All right, but still, this is a top player who was not there last season. And with any luck, he'll be the team's best offensive lineman by the end of the year. So I'm, of course, talking about Jonah Williams. He was the 11th overall selection last year. We talk about the right tackle position and all the problems that the Bengals had at right tackle. But honestly, the bigger problem, especially early in the season, was left tackle. We tend to think of left tackle in terms of pass protection, in terms of the blind side, but the left tackle position was getting destroyed on run plays, particularly early in the year. And that was causing massive problems. That's a big part of the reason why they couldn't run the ball at the beginning of the year. Williams is a technician, all right? Highly intelligent guy, works really hard in the film room. He essentially got a redshirt year. And like in college, when you redshirt a player, you're bringing in this scrawny high school kid and you're kind of expecting to put some weight on them and get them ready to really compete at that higher level. That's essentially what Williams did. If you've seen the pictures of him, he used that year to reshape his body. We've got very high expectations for this guy, and I think for good reason. That brings us to the right tackle, Bobby Hart. Many were hoping that the Bengals would address this position with a major free agent acquisition or the first pick in the second round. But they didn't. The Bengals seem to be much more comfortable with Hart than fans, than analysts. Hopefully, solidifying the left tackle position will allow them to help out a little bit more with Hart. But if you watch the film from last year, they already did that quite a bit. He got a lot of help from the running backs, from tight ends, even from receivers on play action passes. But even better, hopefully we see some competition. All right. Now, Isaiah Prince opted out. So the biggest competition we're going to see is Fred Johnson. Fred Johnson was an undrafted free agent in 2019, was on the Steelers practice squad. Bengals swiped him off of that. He showed great potential starting at left tackle in the closing weeks of the 2019 season. He didn't face a huge challenge, though, from a dominant pass rusher. So it'll be interesting to see how he matches up with some of these top-level pass rushers. He does lean a little bit too much in the run game as well, throwing him off balance. But he learns really quickly. He's the type of guy that doesn't make the same mistake twice very often. So hopefully he's working on these things right now and getting ready to go and getting ready to compete. The other guy who I think is kind of an X factor here is Hakeem Identity. He was a 2020 6th round pick, but do not let that draft position fool you. This is a guy that Jim Turner is very high on, saw as a day 2 talent. He's an excellent athlete, really smart. All right, so a good fit for the things that the Bengals really value. He could add a little bit more heft, a little bit more anchor. So if he could have, hopefully injury-free, but if he could have a rookie year like Jonah's, all right, that full year and gaining some bulk and really reshaping his body to gain anchor, that would be a positive for him. Not sure how soon he'll be ready to really compete. I think by next year, he's a viable option. Maybe the end of this year, he could get a little bit of a look in there. That moves us inside to the center position and Trey Hopkins. Trey Hopkins is really the elder statesman of this offensive line. He's the only truly established starter. He worked really hard to get here, all right? Like Johnson, he was an undrafted free agent. Hopkins was cut multiple times, spent a lot of time on the practice squad, and was really only a full-time starter for the first time last year. His backup will be Billy Price, but we'll talk a little bit more about Price in just a second. First, we're going to talk about his Ohio State teammate, Michael Jordan. Jordan was a 4th round pick for the Bengals in 2019 and ended up starting at the left guard position. He had some struggles early, but when you're evaluating a rookie, you have to account for development. All right, you have to ask yourself 2 questions. Is he correcting his mistakes? And is he improving week to week? And the answer with Jordan was a resounding yes. He showed improvement over the course of the season, and if he continues to show this type of improvement, he could establish himself as a quality starter at that left guard position. And really, that will be incredible for this team. If Jordan can step up, and now you've got Jonah Williams, Michael Jordan, Trey Hopkins making up that left 3/5 of your offensive line. That's huge. They can feel good at least about that side and then focus on developing and finding the right pieces for the right side. Over at right guard, they added Xavier Suco, who replaces John Miller. Suco was a second-round pick, actually the first pick in the second round in the 2017 draft. Has not lived up to his draft position in terms of the expectations for him, but he's a much better fit for this offense than John Miller was. When you're evaluating players, it's not just about finding the best player, it's about finding the best player for you, all right? Somebody who fits your scheme and the things that you're going to ask them to do. This is a guy who is highly intelligent and very athletic, which are things that the Bengals value in their offensive line. So he's a great fit. Now, in his career, he has primarily played left guard. And the fact that they are trying him at right guard and putting Jordan at left guard shows you how strongly they feel about Michael Jordan and his future with this team. Now that brings us to Billy Price. Billy Price started 7 games at left guard last season. But the one game he started at right guard is the best game I've seen him play in the NFL. I think it's clear that he feels more comfortable there, and giving him a shot to compete at that right guard position with Jordan hopefully establishing himself at left, this could be what Billy Price has been waiting for. And we could see him step up and establish himself as a solid starter on this offensive line. Now, I think Fred Johnson and Hakeem Identity could also compete for guard spots as well. These are guys who have a versatile skill set. Fred Johnson was playing guard for the Steelers before the Bengals stole him off their practice squad. So if he's not starting at tackle, he should get a shot at this guard position. And Hakeem Identity as well is somebody who they are going to try at tackle first, but they expect him to be able to play both positions. So, what do the Bengals need to have a good offensive line? We'll go from left to right. Jonah Williams needs to grow up fast. From the look of him, I think he already did a lot of growing up since he got to the league. But of course, we're talking mentally as well. All right, and he's a highly intelligent player, fast processor. I think there's reason to be very hopeful about what he can do in year one. Left guard, Michael Jordan needs to continue to improve and can establish himself as a solid starter. Trey Hopkins, solid player. He needs to stay healthy and continue to grow and improve. At right guard, they've got Xavier Suco, who has the ability to be a solid player because he's a good system fit. But the X factor here is really Billy Price. Billy Price's best position is right guard. If Jordan can establish himself and Hopkins can stay healthy, that will allow Price to focus his energy on the right guard position. And that could help him finally establish himself. And that brings us to right tackle. And the big question here is Bobby Hart. All right, can he be replaced? And are they willing to replace him? Because I get the feeling that they like him a lot more than analysts do. They like him a lot more than fans do. So the worry here is, will they try to replace him? They've got Fred Johnson, they've got Hakeem Identity. What they don't have is preseason games. And that hurts, because you're not really getting live action with these guys to see what they can do against real competition. So that position does worry me. The other thing that worries me is health. All right, these guys have to stay healthy. I think on the interior, they have a little bit more flexibility, but an injury at tackle could be devastating to this team. So that's the offensive line. If you missed any of the previous videos, you can go back and check them out. They're all still available. And we've got a couple more coming up as we close out our position by position preview of the Bengals for the 2020 season. I'm Matt Minnick from Cincy Jungle. Hoo day.
Red 7, hot rock.